Good morning. This is Anthony Nayagan. We are doing a series of videos about nirvana, mind, mindfulness, mindlessness, and in a variety of topics like that in spirituality, especially as it relates to Christians. See, and in these last week, we talked about unlearning and learning. I mean, how do we meditate and how do we unlearn and how do we learn? How do we transcend desires? How do we transcend ordered perceptions? And I said, life is not restricted to black and white. It is based on the gray matter in between. And we need to expand our limited intelligence to include the exploration of formless and expansive universe. And I said, our life, our soul, the air we breathe, our joy, our happiness, our love, all of these are formless and expansive properties. And it is important in our lives that we realize our own soul, our life itself, and the beautiful emotions we have, as joy, love, happiness. All of that we need to realize. And without these, our life is not complete. And today, we are going to talk about how do we do that, okay? And in last week, I introduced a concept called summa, and we will go into that later on in our discussion today as well. So, the topic is actually limited mind. So, why is it limited? In an article in 2010, I believe, in Scientific American, Paul Reber reported, a brain's memory storage capacity is something closer to around 2.5 petabytes. Or, he said, it's 1,000,000 gigabytes. For comparison, if our brain worked like a digital video recorder, 2.5 petabyte would be enough to hold about 3 million hours of high-definition TV recordings in our brain. For that, we need to let the video recorder run for about 300 years. This storage capacity is, in fact, enough to store all the data in the internet, in every language, all the data, and still have space left over. Even as a myth, on average, they say we only use 10% of the storage capacity. Even that myth is debunked in several academic studies. But these studies, however, these studies are about the capacity of human brain. It does not include the memory storage capacities of our organs. For instance, our skins can save memories. It is called Rinanubandha in Sanskrit. In fact, if we include all the memory capacities of our being, we only use a tiny fraction of it in our living. See, the question of whether or not we operate on limited intelligence is not for debate, therefore. It is so limited, it is pointless and embarrassing to even consider otherwise. So, what is out there? What is that not being used? What does it contain? You see, it is the universal knowledge that knows everything. I can quote Bible verses to validate what I say here. But for instance, John 14:26. But I know how our limited minds will receive and process that information and quickly set it aside as we have been doing for generations. As Christians, this is what we are. It is not that we don't have spiritual information in the Bible and in the lives of saints. We have plenty of them. But we think, well, it is an exception. Those saints are exception. Jesus is an exception. Apostles are exceptions. Mother Mary is an exception. So we just treat them as exceptions and leave them alone, and we live in our limited intelligence. That is what we do. Have we ever questioned? Jesus said, the Holy Spirit will come and teach us everything. Do we know everything? Have we learned everything? Jesus said that we can do greater miracles than what He does. As Christians, are we doing miracles? Are we healing the sick? Are we transforming the lives of other people? See, it is not a question about knowing whether such a knowledge is out there or not. The real question is, how do we tap into this unlimited intelligence? See, the world is so chaotic today. Our environment is polluted. Human rights abuses are everywhere. Everywhere. So many millions and millions and millions of people, hundreds of millions, are living below poverty levels. People are starving. Mothers are dying during childbirth. What is going on? And we still are fighting wars. Wars are still going on. Why? We are sick. We are affected by pandemics. Why? See, Adam before the fall was never sick. If Jesus died to restore the life of Adam for all of us, why are we sick? See, before getting into knowing what is out there in that unlimited intelligence, let's talk about what is there and why is it relevant. So, what is there in that unlimited field of intelligence? See, brothers and sisters, literally is everything. When I say everything, whatever knowledge that you are seeking, or whatever knowledge that is required for you to do God's will, is there. You don't have to go to a university to learn this. Holy Spirit will teach you everything. See, in the process of me writing my book, Supreme Realization, I am quoting science and quantum theories, life sciences, all kinds of things. Believe me, I'm not a scientist. I never went to a university and attended lecture on any of these things. All I did when I was writing that book is, you see, I knew the answer. The answer is already given to me. I had the knowledge. The knowledge was already given to me. But I had to make an empirical case of it. So I went to a university, got some books, ordered some books, and I read them so that I could make an empirical case in writing that book. But the knowledge was already there. See, whether it is music, whether it is art, whether it is science, it really doesn't matter. We will know everything. Everything. In the Bible or in the Gospels, we came across how resourceful Jesus was. You know, when he wanted fish to eat, there were so many. When he decided to pay taxes, a fish is bringing a coin in its mouth for him to pay taxes. Was it happening because Jesus was an exception? It was a miracle? See, the minute we say that it is a miracle and it is Jesus did it, that also implies that Jesus was an exception and he is the only one who could do it. Not so. Jesus said emphatically, we will do greater things than those. So, Jesus, in other words, was only showing us how to live as a Christian. He was a model for us to imitate. That's what Jesus was. Jesus was not an exception. I'm going to tell you a story. This is about a mystic in India I met, and I have known her for a long time. All right. Of course, she is a Hindu mystic. So don't jump into the conclusion, all right, I'm quoting a Hindu mystic. It is not relevant for us. You see, the reason why I'm quoting her is because we can live as how Jesus described us to live. According to the intentions of Jesus, we can also live like that. So I'm going to tell you this story only for us to know that such information and, such marvelous things are meant to happen even in our lives as Christians. All right, so let me go into that story. This mystic, I've known her for a long time. And so this was during her early stages, as she was sitting down to meditate. And even there was a cow that comes to her in the mornings and in the evening, because when she was meditating, and after that she gets very, tired or maybe very thirsty. And so the cow will come and stand next to her with a full udder, and so that she could drink the milk straight from the udder itself. And this was a daily happening. At one time, she was fasting, and at the end of the fast, a Garuda in Hindi means an eagle. An eagle brought a fish to her, and it sat right next to her. And when she opened her eyes, it started picking the flesh of that fish and feeding that flesh into her mouth, straight into her mouth. In this, understand one thing: that woman was and still is a total vegetarian, never ate fish other than this time. Did such things happen in the life of Jesus? Of course it did. Of course it did. So, what is happening here in the life of this particular mystic is not an exception. The only thing is, she knew how to tap into it or how to go into that wisdom that provides. See, brothers and sisters, this universe, every single element in the universe is in the control of human mind. For instance, if we observe a particle in a laboratory condition, a tiny, tiny, tiny particle in a laboratory condition, and that particle is associated, it's encapsulated with conscious energy. So in the normal circumstances, the conscious energy is very active, meaning, there are peaks and trenches, and it's a wave function you can clearly observe in laboratory conditions. But when you stand there and observe the wave function, you know what happens? It begins to flatten. The longer that element, that tiny particle realizes that the human mind or the consciousness of a human is not a threat to its own consciousness, it begins to become active again. See, that is how powerful our mind is powerful. Or it's not just the mind. The conscious energy that we are is so powerful. Every universal element abides by it. See, so when this eagle brought that fish to her, it's not really that she is standing there and she is making that eagle fly and catch that fish and bring it over so she could eat it. No, that's not what is going on. The universal elements responds to your needs. That's what is going on. You are not manipulating anything. See, when Jesus was hungry, he wanted to eat some fish. 153 of them, big ones, were ready to serve themselves because they knew Jesus was hungry. That's how the universal elements respond to us when we are in that unlimited realm of intelligence, of universal intelligence. That's how powerful we are. But yet, how are we living? How is our life is like? Think about it. If we are so successful with our limited intelligence, how can we be when we can tap into and reach into the unlimited intelligence out there? If we are so creative with our limited intelligence, just imagine how productive we would be the more we tap into that unlimited and universal and such an abstract, phenomenal field of intelligence. That's what happens to us. So here we are for so many years, for so many generations, ever since Adam, we have been living as limited, intelligent human beings. Are we productive? Yes. See, but our products have limited life. It does not have indefinite life that lasts forever. No. Just as we are limited, everything we do is also limited. This is where we are falling short. See, the universe is living in harmony, existing in harmony, unless a human mind is there to exploit it and corrupt it. The universe is responding to the will of God, unless the human mind intervenes and disturbs the will of God. So with our limited intelligence, not only we are failing to live a full, complete life, we are also disrupting the lives of the universal elements within our reach. See, this is why spirituality is so important for all of us. Whether it has low-hanging fruits or not, that's besides the point. Yes, there are. But how do we evolve as the universal elements, universal being, that enriches and empowers and glorifies the universal elements around us for the glory of God? That's fullness of life. That is why spirituality is so relevant. So relevant. So, in today's discussion, I was talking about Summa. And the Summa is actually a concept. It's a state of nothingness, doing nothingness, only observing in the present moment. It's called Summa. We observe what we witness in the present moment. Otherwise, there is no action, only witnessing, only observation. See, this is actually is another version of meditation. In fact, it is an advanced form of meditation. See, usually in meditation, we close our eyes and we are in that abstract existence, and we are observing and we are witnessing the formless void that God is. That's what's going on in meditation. But in Summa, our eyes are not closed. There may not be any actions on our being, but we just sit there and we open our eyes and we see what is around us. We see the people around us. We see the environment around us. And our eyes open, we are witnessing. We are observing. That's what we are doing. See, in the observation of this, we are learning what is out there, what is unlimited about the whole universe, what is unlimited of our own being, and how our unlimitation is serving the universe at the same time. We just observe without any actions. That is Summa. And it is important for us to remain in meditation and remain in Summa. So in Summa, what is going on is, in fact, we are learning everything. That's what is going on. So brothers and sisters, we'll be doing more and more of these videos every Sunday. And please come back and see us. And thank you so much for listening. This is Anthony Nayagan. God bless you.